Greetings, Keishlings. Keishan Prime here with my review of One Piece Chapter 878. The title always eludes me. I really should look it up sometime. Let's see. Just a second. Because it was a long one and it kind of threw me. Mink Tribe Guardians Chief Pedro. Okay. I've got an itchy nose, but it was a great chapter. It elaborated on a few things. We got some flashbacks of Carrot and Pedro over the years, and I do like the color spread we got this week. Bunch of cats. Cats are lovely, aren't they? I don't have one myself. I don't think my house would survive a cat. Also, I missed a thing on the side. It's saying that the Whole Cake Island arc is reaching its climax. And we yet again reiterate the flashback of when Pedro met Big Mom for the first time. It would have been 10 years ago, right? And how she was going to take Zeppo's life, which I forget how many years was it originally, but it turns out to be 50 for Pedro. I think it was 100 in all, right? He couldn't pay it, obviously. Pedro paid the remainder. Which has led him now to his final hurrah, sadly. We see him, with the whole eye dripping because of the blood. We find out that it was Perospero who intercepted their ship. And he had a little candy ship and everything. I didn't ever expect him to hardly leave the island, He asked him how old he was. He was 27 at the time. And I was like, well, with 50 years of your life taken now, in effect, you've lived 77 years. How much longer do you have? Pedro's like, it doesn't matter as long as I get to choose where I die. And then Perospero brings up like the whole Nox Pirates thing, how it refers to the night and how it's depressing. We get a little flashback of little baby Pedro and how he wanted to go join Roger's crew and everything to help them. But Roger was like, no, you stay on standby. Everyone will get their time to shine, which is going to be a reoccurring theme in this chapter. And later you see Wanda telling Pedro's kids that Roger had died. And then Pedro's like, the other meaning of the Nox Pirates is that it is the dark before the dawn. And that he's going to serve as the foundation that his masters wanted to, the foundation for the world that his masters wanted to see. And that he has enough time to do that. Then bringing us back to the present with the explosions and all that from the previous chapter. Everyone's screaming, Pedro, no. And Katakuri was a little worried about his older brother. He was like, Brother Peros? No way. Because we find out it did injure him quite a bit. Because the candy that was holding the ship, it started melting, so they broke free. Chopper and Brook are now melting, I guess you could say, from their candy coffins. Big Mom got knocked over by the blast, so they're fairly well free to go. Everyone's just sad about Pedro, and in the Tart Armada, everyone's worried about Perospero. It was like, did he die? Which he doesn't. Carrot obviously wanted to go check on Pedro to see if he was even still there, but they just don't have the time. Nami's like, no, Carrot, you have to stay here. It's like, with him, we now have a chance. It was 0% before, but now we have a shot to get out of here. And Luffy starts ordering. It's like, are the preparations complete? We can fly now. It's like, we're off. And it's like, we don't have a second to waste. We won't be able to face Pedro if we miss this chance. I assume in the afterworld, but, you know, it's things you hear in anime all the time, right? So they're setting, the sails are ready. They're checking on Chopper and Brook. They've got their bearings set for the Coupe de Burst blast off. And Jinbei's like, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. So he's really become a part of the team in just a very short time. I love Jinbei. He's probably one of my favorite Straw Hats. At least in the top 4. And I guess you could include amongst the now 5,600 of the fleet. But anyway, Big Mom eventually started getting up. Katakuri's like, no, you aren't getting out of here. Even though you're all fired up. Carrot's like, nah, I will not stand for this. The ships are all ready to fire upon them. Because, you know, in retribution for Perospero. And then Carrot rushes in, which was a horrible thing for Carrot to do against Katakuri. My eye is itchy. We get another flashback. She wasn't cut out for the sword based on Pedro's observations of her training years ago. And I just don't remember his name. It's the lion leader of the day. Like musketeers. It was like, she'll become a fine swordsman under me. Later, we then see a little flashback of her with her, like, electro paw things, gauntlets. I don't really know what to call them. And Pedro's like, it doesn't matter how you do it, but you will become a strong warrior. And he brings up what Roger had told to him all those years ago in his own childhood. It's like that sooner or later, everyone gets their own time to shine. So she rushes in, electrical, but Katakuri's way too powerful, so she gets the boot. Which I was like, aw, poor Carrot. And such a trying moment for the girl, and then to get that. Luffy rushes in. He goes, I don't know if it was Hawk Gatling or just like a regular like armament hockey Gatling, which it wasn't really doing anything, and Katakuri's just kind of taunting him. It's like, you're never going to get out of here with me in the way. And Luffy's like, I'm its captain, I will do it. And it's like, well, then try to drive me out then. And then Luffy goes in with an elephant gun, but Katakuri kind of like takes it, but because it's armament, it kind of has stopped his powers. And he actually Luffy grabs him, which I think is the first time he's ever grabbed anyone with that. And I guess Katakuri saw what was about to happen. It's like, oh, I see what this is all about. It's like, and it doesn't matter if you understand, you know, it's gonna happen. So all the cannons are being fired from the Tart ships, and Big Mom actually grabs onto the back of the ship, which I was like, oh god, Frankie probably feels the Sunny's pain. But Nami then sees in the clearing clouds of dust and everything, it was like, Pedro? But no, it's Perospero. And he's still alive, missing an arm now, but he mentions his candy armor broke. Is he much smaller than we think? That's kind of my theory going. Which then, what if Cracker was inspired by him? Because remember, Cracker's the 10th son, so there's an age gap. So that could be interesting if that turns out to be true. Anyway, Luffy grabs into the mirror. He's got Brûlé. Everyone's like, what's going on? Because he starts calling out their names. And it's like, I leave the rest to you. I promise I'll be back. So then it basically flings them into the mirror. Everybody's just kind of like, what's going on? Brook has like a moment. It's like, if we're about to blast off, can we take Mr. Shark with us? That was probably one of the cutest parts of the whole chapter. But everyone's ready to go coup de burst. And Amande's just kind of like, what did I just see? Is that a ship flying in the air? I don't know. And Nami's like, where'd Luffy go? And then we see them in the mirror world, which is now setting up a fight between them. So it's basically Battle of the Stretch, as my live reaction title went. And Kategori's like, well done. And Luffy's like, yeah, we can fight all we want now. He even smashes the mirror so that no one else can get onto the ship. And everyone's like, why would he do that? And then they just kind of glare at each other in a standoff, which is going to lead to an awesome battle. Who is the superior stretcher? Am I right? But yeah, it just... The big thoughts I had were the whole Perospero thing. It's like, is he smaller than we actually think he is? Because he could very well just be like Cracker was. Because I don't think he's ever mentioned having candy armor. You know, but hey, those are some very deceptive powers, am I right? But, and then obviously the nice flashbacks with Pedro and how he's actually been planning this whole thing his whole life, basically, to eventually sacrifice himself in some way for this ultimate greater good, which is very, very nice of him, because I don't know if I could do something like that. I just haven't met that moment, which, like they said, everyone has their moment to shine. You just have to see the opportunity and act upon it. The whole thing with Carrot, and then the Brook moment with Mr. Shark, can we take him? And I just... Heartbreak, a little humor, good bits of action. Overall, it was a great chapter. I'm bumping it up to a 4.5 because it's getting there, especially with the whole Luffy staying in the mirror world to fight Katakuri. So, how will he get back? What, is he going to beat Katakuri, grab Brûlé, and it's like, okay, bitch, we're getting the fuck out. I don't know. But yeah, it's a 4.5 chapter. I enjoyed it. Anybody else that loves One Piece will enjoy it. It's setting up big things, and I look forward to the next chapter. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Keishlings, roll out.